Hello everybody and welcome back to Blanche Case Fitness. It's Friday and you know what that means. It's time for functional home fitness where we do weight training using objects you can find around the house, because no matter whether we change the time that we start class, it's still Friday. Hi everybody. I'm thrilled to announce that I remembered that I was going to change the class time and then I changed it. I'm 2 for 2 this week. Yeah. Hi. Oh, so good to see you. Oh my goodness. I had a beautiful hike this morning. At my first hike, no word of a lie, in probably a year and a half, because I did not make it out hiking last year for obvious reasons. And then, I think it was like fall of 2019. Class early. Yes, class early. Class early permanently now. I mean, it's still like, East Coast. It's the difference between 7 and 8. It doesn't feel that much earlier, but class early. Thank you all for joining me and being cool with the time change. Just, I've talked about it a little bit, but as we're heading into both summer and actually being able to see people again, I figured that we all could probably benefit from getting through class a little bit earlier in the afternoon. So, woo! But yeah, first hike in a year and a half, and it was stunning. It was, it wasn't a summit hike, so we didn't summit green, but it was this beautiful trail that my friend had wanted to try out for a while, and it was just like, it made me think of the, it made me think of the Japanese term around forest bathing. And that was what it felt like. Like, we got on this trail and we were just surrounded by pine trees and everything was so green. And I was just like, oh, I feel calmed, in a way that I haven't in a while. So, long story short, I want to hike more, which is great. And I mean, we've been talking about this a lot. I realized I've worked a lot of different activity types into this past week, which is super exciting. And if I do end up going for a test run in the next couple of days, then that'll be one more. But hiking and cycling and obviously walking and obviously class time, maybe some running. And it's just really exciting to diversify my activities, my hope, and probably not yet, because I think I still don't feel quite safe to do this, but I had intended last year, before everything went to hell, to get back into taking dance classes, because it's been a while since I was dancing consistently. The last time I was dancing consistently was when I was in a company out in Rhode Island, and I haven't been doing that for years, and I just miss it so much. And it's such a different type of movement and exercise than anything that we do here, certainly, and any of the other things that I do out in Colorado. Like, Colorado is very outdoor sports, and it's really awesome, and I honestly love that. Like, it is very easy to feel very supported in just trying new activities here. But dance also has like a real emotional component to it, an artistic component to it, and it's something that I've been missing a lot. So that's on my list as well, although I think I will probably wait until we're all a little, like, I need to see how things shake out, because the regular things still feel really freaky right now. Like, going out to a restaurant last night and sitting outside and just being like, it's just, I know this used to be normal, but it feels really weird now. So I'm going to give myself some time to move through those emotions, as we all should. We should all be moving as slowly as we need to, and recognizing that Man, we're going to have a lot of big emotions. Big emotions are going to happen over the rest of this year. And that's okay. Try not to look away from them. Try to welcome them in, hold them, comfort them, and then figure out where they're coming from and how you can work together. We'll see what happens. But yeah, starting a day with a hike, a really wonderful thing to do, I think. And ending the day, I mean, not the whole day, but ending the like work part of the day with class, also really nice. And of course, you know, I'm glad that today's class is strength training and not HIIT class, because my legs probably would not be pleased with me if I did that. But all right, friends, welcome back. So if this is your first time to Friday, welcome to Functional Home Fitness. We do weight training with random household objects like my trusty laundry detergent bottle, which is basically all I use at this point. Sometimes I throw some books in there. But if you are brand new, a couple of advisories I like to give before class. One, because we are using random objects from around the house, we are not able to load as deliberately as we can in a gym. We're not using items that are actually designed for weightlifting, so they may not be as ergonomic as dumbbell. They're definitely not going to have like the amount of weight written prettily on the side. So if this is your first time and you've just, you know, collected a bunch of stuff together, then please err on the side of caution when you're selecting what to use. Go a little bit lighter than maybe you think that you need to. Go through at least one set. And then if you get to the end of that set and you're like, no, I can pump this up a little bit, cool, go for it. Or you may get to the end of the set and go, oh no, this is about where I am, I think. And that's fine. But we want to err on the side of caution while we're getting to know the objects that we're testing out. And as you get to know, you know, what objects make sense for weightlifting in your house, don't feel the need to keep like collecting random crap each time. Like anyone who's been in class for ages will tell you that this is what I use. Like I'll pull a textbook off of the shelf sometimes, but for the most part, it's that laundry detergent bottle because I know how it moves. I know how heavy it is. I have a more intuitive understanding of how it will function as a weight. The second advisory is more generalized for free weight training, particularly free weight training for arms, where you tend to have two weights of an equal amount of weight, one in each hand, and moving the arms separately to move those weights through the air. We are not symmetrical creatures. We have stronger sides and weaker sides, and we have a tendency to think that the way to strengthen our weaker sides is to push it really hard by loading up with the amount of weight that our stronger side can manage and going, yeah, this is totally going to help strengthen our weaker side. It is not. I mean, it will do something, but more importantly and less goodly, it will set us up for injury because our weaker side isn't able to safely maneuver that amount of weight. And so you end up doing compensations just to try to complete the exercise, which we don't want to do. Again, form is the most important thing. And yeah, we set ourselves up for injury. I have a shoulder injury that came from not safely paying attention to how much weight my left arm had capacity for. So always load based on the capacity of your weaker side, not your stronger side, because your weaker side is going to be fine. It may feel a little easier than it might be able to manage, but it's going to be fine, okay? Whereas your stronger side will be fine. Your weaker side, if we try to overload it, it's a bad scene. It is so warm in this room. Oh my God. That's another, well, I don't think that doing class earlier actually helps the warmth. What I should have done is turned on the AC, but I didn't do that because I still haven't gotten it. So that'll be my goal for next week. This week was don't miss the new class times, and next week will be try to remember to turn on the AC in the house before class so that it's not a sauna in here. But I'd say we're ready to go. Yeah. Oh man, yeah. I have felt very calm and wonderful today after that hike. And if hiking is something that you enjoy, and it doesn't have to be intense, you don't have to summit mountains each time, like just hiking, walking through the woods is just such a wonderful experience, and I highly recommend it if you have any appropriate woods nearby. But for now, we're gonna do something completely different. I will probably be covered in, sunscreen sweat stains by the end of this, and that's okay. So let's do our pre-class checklist. Everybody make sure you have your water in whatever vessel you're using. Take that first sip just to see how your hydration is. Not bad, not bad. You've got your comfy clothes on, whatever that means to you. You've got your mat or mat-sized space on the floor. And if you use a fitness wearable, now is the time to turn it on. Not high-intensity interval training today. Today, we're just doing whatever traditional strength training setting you have on your wearable, because this is not a HIIT class. I mean, we have the warm-up, but then once we're done with that, then it's just more traditional strength training. All right. And make sure you have your items, whatever you're using for class. I guess I should have led with that, but at this point, you know what you need for class. Okay, my loves, here we are. Speakers on, water's there. We are pumped up and ready to go, or we're exhausted and coming out of a hard week and ready to work through some of those emotions by moving heavy things around. And however you're feeling is a-okay. Be honest about it. Be present with it. Don't try to shove things down in a corner. Bring that energy here, and then see how exercise can help you move through that energy, whatever it is, okay? And let's do our warm-up. Yeah, hiya, okay. Okay. Guess what I did not do my rest week? If you guessed clean my mats off, then yeah, you know me quite well. All right. Everybody on your mats, on your backs, 1 foot crossed over the opposite knee. And as soon as I open this timer and then you hear the horn, we will begin with hip rocks and bridges. Alrighty? Yeah, there we go. There we go. Yeah, that's, and something, and I do talk about it fairly frequently because it's important, but the ways that we use our energy and our emotions in class, I feel like a lot of times we have a really unhealthy attitude towards it, where we've all had teachers, or many of us have probably had teachers either as adults or as kids who had that sort of either implicit or explicit attitude of, no, leave your baggage at the door. You're here to work out, and that's the only thing to focus on. And of course that's bullshit because we are not, that's not how most of our brains work. And even those of us who are more adept at compartmentalization, that doesn't necessarily mean that it's a healthy thing to do. If I've been going through an entire 8-hour work day and, feeling lots of, maybe it's been a hard day, or maybe I've got shit going on in my personal life, or a family member in the hospital, or, all sorts of things, to say to someone at the end of that day, look, I know that you've been dealing with this stuff, but now I just want you to just forget all about it and just focus on exercise. It's ridiculous. And exercise is a tool, and it's pretty obvious what the physical components of that of it are, but it also is a tool for mental health, not just physical health. And so, if you've been having a really hard day, then exercise can be a tool to help process, help maybe move into a healthier brain space. but not if you're trying to ignore everything that you've been experiencing. Like if I'm approaching a nail on the wall with a hammer, I'm not going to close my eyes and just like blindly hammer away and hope that I hit the nail and not, the rest of the wall or my hand or anything like that. So exercise can be a tool, If I have been having a really hard like depression day and I'm feeling really tired and run down, that is going to change how I approach the beginning of class. I'm going to take it a little bit easier. I'm going to not force myself to be pushing a lot of energy out. I'm going to let myself see how my energy levels and how my brain, my brain's emotional space change over the course of class, and see what shifts and then act accordingly. Or if I'm really angry about something, if I've had a really shitty day or a really bad fight with somebody and I just want to I want to use that energy somehow, class is a great way to do that. And those frequently tend to be the days where we're like, you know what, I'm going to push myself a little bit harder than I usually do, because being able to, to push and challenge myself, not necessarily because I have a specific goal for today, but just to remind myself that I am able to, be really badass. That can be a really great way to work through anger and to bring it, to address it in a more healthy way. So we want to use our experiences, we want to use our emotions to inform how we approach our activities and our exercise. Because, if our overarching goal is just, I want to lead as active and as overall physically and mentally healthy a life as I can, and I want exercise to be a tool in my toolbox that I use to achieve that goal, I don't have to use that tool in the same way each time, I'm not training for the Olympics. I'm not, over here on a competitive team or anything. And so I can get on the mat some days and be like, you know what? I'm going to move, and that's going to be the thing that I'm able to do. And that's totally fine, So we want to remember, and the fitness industry is really good at training us in the opposite direction of this. But we want to remember that we are actually a holistic system, okay? We are not like, okay, here's the brain, here's the body, and there's this impassable divide between them. Our mental health impacts our physical health and vice versa. And, there is nothing to be gained and a lot to be lost in treating them as two separate systems and thinking that it is okay or even preferable to try and just shut one entire side of ourselves off while we're doing other things, or to not recognize the ways in which our mental health impacts our capacity for exercise, and then to factor that information in. So, yeah, it is a tool, and it is a very useful tool, exercise is. But we do not have to ask the same thing of it each time. And that's one of the beautiful things about it, It can really adjust based on our needs in the given day, in the given hour, we can adjust what we're doing. But that starts with us actually looking inward paying attention to how our brains feel and how our bodies feel, and then actually utilizing that information to inform what we then end up doing. And I talk about this so much because it is one of the most important components of fitness and of being active and doing these types of classes and any types of activities and stuff like that. Like, this is such an important thing for us to remember, and a lot of times it gets lost if not actively, taught against. So, here we are. Oh yeah, I can tell. I went for a hike, and then I, was on my laptop for work for most of the day. So, the scorpion twists are a welcome part of this warm-up. Holy crap. And perhaps they are for you as well. Now, most of us need exercises like this that are going to open up our spines in a way that they don't frequently get, because whether you're sitting all day at some sort of a desk job, or standing all day in some sort of a retail or warehouse position or something like that, frequently what that means is that we end up with just a lot of stiffness and binding up of our backs and our hips. That's why we have this entire section of the warm-up that is really focused on helping us to activate those areas, to stretch them out a little bit, to remind them that no, they've got a much wider range of motion than we have utilized for much of the day, and to just give them that opportunity to stretch out and strengthen up. So I definitely always appreciate this part of the warm-up. Just an opportunity to dig in and be like, okay, let's get some twist into that spine. Let's activate some of that movement, Let's start activating the obliques, which obviously are hugely important for a lot of those twisting motions. And just starting to feel the relaxing of those areas, because they can get really tight, really bound, really tense when you're just sitting all day or standing all day, and they're not getting a lot of range of motion, and they get tense and they get stiff. So we want to let them move around a little more freely. And speaking of hip stretches, particularly the hip flexor, oh man, Samson stretches are so good for that. Woof. Yeah, this is definitely one of my favorites. And you want to really let yourself sink into that lunge, okay? Don't let your hip open out to the side, okay? This is not a warrior two. You want to make sure your pelvic bones are facing forward the whole time. So if they had headlights on them, those headlights would always be pointed forward, no matter where you were in the movement. No matter whether my leg is way back there, that pelvic bone is still pointing straight forward, okay? All right, and our last back twist, hip opening exercise. Yeah, it is. I am looking forward to the shower, I will say. And we've only just started class, so that's not a great sign for how this room will be for the rest of class, but woo! Remember, the only things that should be moving are your shoulders, twisting first one in towards the midline, then the other, and just getting that nice twist in the top of the spine, because we've already done the low and middle spine with the scorpion twists in particular. So rounding it out before cardio. Here we are. Remember, even though we are in our cardio section of the warm-up, we are still not going for 100%. So I'm doing really small jumping jacks right now, just enough to activate all of the systems. So we're just looking to get our heart rate going a little bit faster, get our breath coming a little bit faster, you know, and letting our cardiovascular system know that, yeah, we're here and we're ready to work out, and that's what we're gonna do, okay? But you do not need to be doing giant jumping jacks. I keep forgetting that I really should be doing the jumping jacks on my mat. Someday, that'll be 2 weeks down the line. Oh my goodness. Kick throughs. Remember, you can go as slowly as you need to, all right? You can absolutely speed it up as you feel more confident, but there are a lot of components to this exercise, and it also requires a lot of strength and stability in the shoulder when we're on that one arm. So if you need to go a little bit more slow and steady, that's totally okay. As you can see, I am absolutely doing that, okay? So don't feel the need to rush. All right, finishing out with our burpees. Yeah, there we go. Really making sure that we're doing a wave push-up, okay? Rather than a plank push-up or even from the knees. We're doing a full-on wave and then that nice big victory clap up at the top. You can exhale on the effort. So maybe when you jump the feet forward or when you do the victory clap jump, one of those places might make a lot of sense. There we are. Good job. Okay, whoops. I hadn't cleared the timer from the last time I used it. All right, water time. Yeah, much better. Much better. Oh. It was one of those things when I was getting prepped for hiking this morning, I realized it's been long enough since I went hiking that I've lost a lot of the instincts for what I need to make sure to bring with me. And the biggest thing was that I totally forgot to bring a water bottle with me. And we weren't doing a huge hike. It was 3.6 miles round trip. So it wasn't like a massive hike that I was gonna get dehydrated on. But my friend had, 2 water bottles with her and offered me the ability to drink from it. And that was another thing where I was like, I don't think I'm ready to share drinks with other people yet, which is just like, there's so many weird hitches, mental hitches that, we're going to be discovering them for at least the next year. We are going to be discovering these weird little points where we're like, oh yeah, I remember when that used to be a thing that I felt fine with. And I could see myself being fine with it again in the future, maybe, but definitely not right now. Yeah, just a little too much. So I did not end up having water on that particular trip. But, it's one of those things where it's like, all right, well, next time, hopefully my brain will hook onto that and be like, hey, don't forget your water bottle. All right. Hey, what are we going to do today? Oh my goodness. Let's see here. All right. Ooh. Oh man. Yeah. That is a huge decision point. And that's really cool that, it was just the 2 of you in there. That probably would have felt fine too. But yeah, it takes some thought. You're like, okay, I'm not used to being unmasked outside my home. Just wow, how quickly our sense of what is normal changes. All right, my loves, let's see here. It's been a while since I've had to come up with a new plan for class. Hiya, get on over here. All right, let's do some goblet squats because we haven't done those in a while. So whatever weight you're using, if I was doing this in a gym, I would have you with a kettlebell holding either side of the handle. So I'm just gonna hold this weight sort of at chest height, and I'm not taking a super wide position, but my feet are probably about shoulder width apart. And we're just gonna squat down and up and down and up. All right. Yeah, and that's gonna be it. So that'll be exercise 1. Exercise 2, normally I would combine these, but I think today I'm gonna keep them separate. So exercise 2, we're just gonna do a press. We're gonna keep that weight the same place that it is for our goblet squats, and then just press up above your head, above but a little bit forward, so I'm not holding it directly above my head, so that when I bring it down, it comes back down to my chest, and then up and down. Because we don't want, if I'm holding a heavy thing up above my head, I don't want it directly above my head, because if I accidentally lose control and drop it, I would want it to drop in front of me rather than on my head. Okay? All right, so we've got goblet squats as exercise 1, then we've got presses as exercise 2, and then I think 3 and 4, we're gonna do weighted leans, weighted ab leans. So let's take our feet somewhere between hip and shoulder width, closer to hip width apart. I'm holding this weight out to the side, my shoulders engaged, so the weight is not pulling it down. Okay, very similar. The weight's also not touching my thighs, so this is very similar to setting up for a farmer's carry. And I'm going to engage my abdominals, then I'm gonna let myself kind of lean to the side, and then contract the obliques to pull myself back up to standing, and down and up. And I want my abs engaged and working the whole time. So that'll be, first side will be 3, second side will be 4, and those will be the exercises. So we're doing our usual timer with our 2-minute intervals. So As soon as you hear the horn, you begin. We're gonna say 15, no, you know what? We're gonna say 20 to 30 reps. I'm upping it a little bit. 20 to 30 reps, and you do them all in a row, and then the rest of the timer is rest, and then you'll hear knock, 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 and that tells you you have 10 seconds to get in a position for the next exercise, and we'll just go 4 times through, all right? So goblet squats, presses, weighted lean first side, weighted lean second side. All right, oh God, come on. All right, everybody get in position, get ready, get set. Yeah, there we are. So, I can't tell if I'm gonna go back to not trying to count while I'm doing this, but it was nice to have a better sense of like how many reps I was doing. So maybe I'll try to keep that up, even though we're not in April powers anymore. But here we are, holding our nice heavy weight. And the nice thing about doing these exercises, these leg-focused free weight exercises, we can hold a heavier weight than we might normally go for an arm exercise, because we don't have to actually maneuver the weight anywhere. The weight itself is staying put, and so we can manage something that's a little heavier. All right, grab some water, read this big thing. Yeah. Oh, it's weird. It's weird. I'm frustrated that even I feel a certain degree of like not knowing how confident I can be in CDC recommendations. And like some of that is just coming out of, you know, the person who was running the country beforehand. But it's hard. It's hard to figure out what to do, and you know, to be in this position too, where we don't, you know, you don't know whether the random person on the street is vaccinated or not, and you know, there's not really a good way to ask that. And it's gonna be an ugly time, because people are all trying to figure out what they can trust and who they can trust, and it's not gonna be pretty. So everybody, you know, again, take care of yourselves and make sure that you're not being too hard on yourselves, because we're all trying to, you know, surf these really weird choppy waters. And it's hard. What a frickin' year. Make sure you're still drinking water. Lots of water. Yeah. Oh, man. Well, I'm grateful to be here at any rate. And grateful that no matter what, this class can continue. You know, it has definitely been a really important component of obviously my overall health, but my mental health, you know, my mental health, I think, is far better than it would have been if I hadn't had this class and had you wonderful people with me to keep us going. So thank you for that. Thank you for participating and talking in chat and just, you know, working. We're a community and we're taking care of ourselves and we're taking care of each other, and that's really wonderful. I will tell you, this weekend I am going to be doing tech for a small play that is going up in the area. I actually had auditioned for it back in January and did not end up getting cast, which honestly I feel pretty good about. You know, because at the time it was still like, I have no idea when I'm going to be vaccinated, and like, you know, it just didn't feel like the right time. But I'm working tech for it this weekend, and I went to one of the dress rehearsals a week or maybe 2 ago, and oh man, I had forgotten how thrilling that is, how thrilling that whole experience is. And it's just like, it has been so long. I mean, it's been so long since I've been in a theater, and it's also just been so long since I worked on a show at in any capacity. I've done a fair amount of ushering since I got to Colorado for one of the local theaters here, but that is, you know, it's fun and it's really nice to volunteer for a company like that, and you know, they can always use good ushers, but it is a different experience and not quite as, you know, right in the thick of the creative process as doing tech is. So that was really thrilling to sort of remember what that felt like, and to be like, oh, I've missed this. I've missed this a lot. And so I'm looking forward to it. So anybody who's in the Boulder area, if you want to see a play, it's a wonderful, wonderful show, The Lucky Ones, and it's at Deviant Spirits, which is a distillery, which is another industry that obviously got pretty hard hit during the pandemic. So, you know, you can support two industries at once, which is nice. All right. Hey, round 2. Here we are. All right, so checking in, always wanting to make sure that your form is just as good as it was the first time. So obviously, legs are a huge component of this. We need to check in on our squat form, make sure our knees are going straight over our feet and not trying to cave in towards each other at any point during the movement. You also want to check in on your core engagement, because we're holding this really heavy thing in front of us. And if your core is not engaged, then when we squat down, that weight is going to go, oh cool, gravity, and try and pull you down towards the ground, which is not what we want. So we want to have that core engaged to really make sure that the weight doesn't start to pull us down you know, awkwardly like that. Oh man. Coming over here for some water. Water, water, water. Yes. I'm gonna make some deviled eggs tonight for a picnicky thing tomorrow, which I'm excited about. Because language is imaginary, okay? That's the best answer I have for you. Also, you're overthinking it. But yes, if you are in any way a fan of deviled eggs, I highly recommend finding a good recipe. Oh, this is hard to hold for this exercise. So this is one of the things where we end up having to be a little creative with our weightlifting in this class, because remember when I was talking to you about how weights in the gym are going to be like nicely ergonomically designed, and you know, all of the weight is going to be evenly distributed, and the shape of the object is going to be evenly distributed, and it's really nice and it's really convenient. But frequently, we cannot be guaranteed of that when we're just finding random stuff around the house, right? So this bottle is really great for any activities where I'm holding the handle of a weight. So if anything, you know, where I'm holding the dumbbell by the handle, this is fine. This is great. But when it switches to something where I would want to be holding two equally sized ends, or, you know, the sides of the handle of a kettlebell, then it becomes a little uncomfortable because it's not an even shape the whole way around, and some ways some exercises that I do with this, you know, cause the liquid in the bottle to slosh around in a way that changes the center of mass for the object in a way that you also do not get with gym equipment. So a lot of times we have to modify what we are doing and what we're aiming for with a particular exercise. You know, at the very least, we have to be a little bit more conscious of the motion and of our speed, so that we're not sending ourselves off in a direction that we didn't expect to go. But sometimes too, we just really have to modify what we are actually doing. And I do that a lot with these exercises, particularly exercises that really require having a weight in each hand. Frequently, I'll modify and create a version where you can just use one heavier weight, because it's hard to find two objects in your house that are the exact same shape, that are the exact same weight, that you can hold in a firm enough grip that you're not worried about dropping it. Yeah, you know, so we have to modify. So if you ever have to modify anything that I'm bringing to you in class, like, don't worry about it. That is absolutely something that you should be doing, okay? To make sure that you are being as safe as possible, right? Because that's our goal. Our goal is form and safety. And so whatever we need to do to achieve that goal, you know, let's make sure to do it, okay? Oh man, all right. Coming to the end of round 2 with our second side of weighted leans. Hiya. And so we'll be halfway done at that point. Oh man, the functional home fitness classes are so fascinating to teach because they're far more plug and play than any of my other classes. So I sometimes am like, I feel like I don't have a good sense of how much time has gone by because I'm not constantly giving you like having to show you new exercises and telling you what the timer is going to be. Like it's the same thing the whole time. Yeah, same page length. I think that's smart. I think that's a smart way to go about it. But yeah, I mean, I missed the deviled egg discourse. So Coupe de Ville confused the crap out of me until I went back up in the chat and read the rest of that. Oh my God. Yeah, my deviled egg recipe is one that I got from a friend of mine. She throws a Hanukkah party every year, and one year she had made deviled eggs, and I was like, oh my God, these are incredible. What's the recipe? And she gave it to me. It was, you know, family recipe, and it's a nice, simple recipe too. Like, it's got very few ingredients in it, and it's so easy to make, and they're so good. And honestly, like, you want to talk protein bombs that are so useful as pre or post-workout fuel, like deviled eggs are the way to go. And they're hilarious too, because they're, you've got hard-boiled eggs, and then you take the yolk out, and you mix the yolk with a lot of mayonnaise, which is also made out of eggs. And so it's just like, it's eggs all the way down. I know, I'm really excited that I'm making deviled eggs tonight now. The more I talk about them, the more I'm like, yeah, delicious. Oh, ooh, water. Amanda, have you ever actually gotten through your entire gallon jug in one of these classes? Inquiring minds want to know. Like, oh, I feel like your water puts even my little mason jar to shame. Absolutely. Whew. All right, here we are. We're in our third run through these exercises. It's interesting too. You know, I was talking about the ergonomics of this bottle from the last time we were doing these presses. And I try to, because the bottle is not even in its construction, I try to flip it around each time to change which arm gets more of the weight. And I feel like that also has an impact because it impacts like how my hands have to be positioned. And you know, as with everything, we have stronger hands and weaker hands. Basically the moral of this class is, hey, we're not symmetrical. Stop expecting yourself to be symmetrical. It's not gonna happen. Summer is coming. Summer is absolutely coming, and we are going to need to really focus in on hydration. Because it's important, and it's, you know, triply important in the summertime when we're already losing a lot of fluid just through daily life because it's hot and we're sweating, which our bodies are supposed to do, but also then makes them go, well, there went that liquid. I didn't need that, did I? And it's like, well, I mean, you used it for its intended purpose, but now you need to replace it, please, so that you don't get heat stroke or dehydration or anything like that. And if you get dehydrated, and this is a good sort of tip for any reason that you might end up dehydrated, like, you know, if you have any sort of a stomach bug or a hangover that involves vomiting and you're trying to hydrate yourself again, don't start with trying to drink water. Start with like small ice cubes or ice chips and just letting them dissolve and sort of getting water into your system that way. Start really slow, really small, and then next step, hopefully try to do some sort of a sports drink, because it's going to have lots of sugar, lots of salt, lots of electrolytes, and if you're dehydrated, those are the things that you need to replenish. Like water is good. Water will help to rehydrate you, but there is a place for sports drinks. Not all the time, you know, because they are super sugary and that's not healthy. But like if you're trying to rehydrate, sports drinks are the next step rather than just going for water itself, because you do have a lot of additional things that you need to replenish if you are dehydrated. So just things to think about as we head into the summer months. You know, hopefully you're not ending up with a stomach bug or a bad hangover too often, but if you ever do, or, you know, vomiting for any other reason, those are some tips on how to better rehydrate yourself. Yeah. Third time through these weighted leans, and you really need to be using the entire spectrum of abdominal muscles, because as we're leaning over, we need to make sure that they're engaged and you're not just like flopping over and then going, oh, whoops, need to get those muscles engaged, because then you're more likely to let the weight like really take over and control the movement, and we don't want that. We want the abdominals to be controlling the movement, okay? But symmetry, like, you know, I know the easiest thing to do is to just let go of our desire for symmetry. I can't necessarily do that most of the time, but you know. Oh, good. I look forward to seeing the photo of your water jug after class is done. Yeah, I've definitely been making it all the way through my own water in the last few weeks, which I wasn't necessarily getting all the way through it during class in the winter time, but oh yeah, now absolutely. Okay. Last time last but not least, move backwards a little bit so that my head's not going out of frame each time. Oh, yeah, this is, I think I've found the exercise that this bottle is really not great for, which is a shame because you'll know how much I love this bottle, but it is feeling really uncomfortable for holding from the bottom like this. And that's okay. That gives me important information that I can then use to find maybe a different object in my house that I can use for exercises like this. So nothing wrong, just gotta get a little more creative. And that's our goal. You know, that's one of the big reasons why I stick with this class and structure it the way that I do, is it can, you know, there are a lot of things that can make us feel frustrated or afraid about our ability to maintain our fitness practice. And one of those things is not having the exact perfect equipment and space at the exact moment that we want to work out. And I know that has gotten in my way countless times before. And, you know, it was a huge problem for people at the beginning of the pandemic. I mean, all through the pandemic, where it's like, well, I don't have the equipment that I need, or that I've been using, that I'm comfortable with. You know, what am I going to do? And seriously, one of the reasons why I do this class is to help open up our creativity and be like, you know what? It's okay if you don't have the exact space that you're used to. It's okay if you don't have the exact weights that you're used to. You can get a little bit of creative and try something slightly different, but that's still gonna give you an awesome workout and is gonna help you to stay healthy and to really keep at it. And, you know, that's something that's so important for us to remind ourselves of, because, yeah, we are creatures of habit, and there's obvious reasons for that, but it does mean that when those habits are interrupted, frequently we kind of freak out a little bit, you know? And we're like, oh my God, my habit. You know, I had this whole thing, this whole ritual down, and now it just got blown to hell, and what the hell do I do now? And it's like, these are the times when we need to be able to take that step back and go, well, what I do now is I implement some of that curiosity, some of that creativity, and I try something different and see how it works, you know? And that's just an important thing for us to always be reminding ourselves of. Our capacity for invention and our capacity to try new things and to find new paths. And it requires us to remember that the place where we end up is quite possibly going to look, you know, completely unrecognizable from what our original plan was. And that's okay. It's scary, absolutely. It's really scary to end up somewhere totally different. And, you know, Sometimes it comes with a lot of discomfort. Sometimes it comes with outright pain. But there is so much that we can discover and that we can explore. And, you know, even if we can just in this one small way, in this one exercise class, take the opportunity to be like, all right, I'm just gonna throw stuff at the wall and see what sticks. Then we have an example of, oh, okay, so this thing got blown up for me, but then I took a creative approach and I sort of like took a different path towards it, and it worked out. And once we have that first example, it becomes a lot easier for us to trust our capacity for that creativity and that innovation in other parts of our lives. So, you know, we're starting small, but we're starting in a great place. We're starting here on stream together, which already may be, you know, something that required some creativity of you, like it certainly did of me, especially in the old place when I was just sort of like trying to set up in my living room and, you know, pushing mats aside during the rest of the week and having to pack and unpack my lights and all of this stuff. But, you know, we made it through because I kept tweaking and exploring and figuring out, okay, what's gonna work better for this? And I'm so glad that I did. And I'm so glad that you were all with me on this trip, because this is one of the ways that we take care of ourselves, but also the ways in which we take care of each other. And it's awesome. It's awesome. Woo! Yeah! I love it. I love it. Challenging ourselves. Challenging ourselves is always so exciting. Oh, yeah. I'm just letting the timer finish out so that anybody who's still in process, but you got 10 seconds left, and then we will do some quick stretching. Yeah! Good job! Good job! Many possibilities. Ooh, I'm excited to hear more about them. All right, my loves, let's stretch a little bit. Oh, you know what? Let's take a standing position and just not fiercely, okay? Right now I'm just sort of going side to side. I'm not trying to like twist all the way behind myself. Just trying to open out. You know, those weighted leans are great, but they also require a lot of strength and sternness in the abdominals. So let's try and just circle our chests in one direction and then the other direction. This is some of that isolation stuff that I've talked about. So if you're like, I do not have the capacity to just move my chest in a circle like that, then how you can start is move side to side like this. Just try to move side to side, keeping everything else really stable. And then front and back. So front and back, just getting little curves in both directions. And you can practice there. And then once you feel a little more confident in that, then just try to, you know, you can start with even just front, side, back, side, front, side, back, side. And then ultimately try to just isolate the whole movement around. But there we go. We got a little bit of movement into those spines. Oh, let's those arms way up above our heads, fingers interlaced, and release. Let's do a quick quad stretch here. Our standing quad stretch. Holding that foot, pulling that heel into the butt as far as you can. Have your other hand on a wall or a counter or something, okay? Even if you can technically do the balance, just helps you to focus your attention on the stretch itself. All right, other side. Yeah, definitely needed this. I didn't stretch after the hike, and I probably should have. That was, see, I'm still getting my hiking brain back. And actually, I don't think that stretching after a hike was ever part of my hiking brain, so I need to add that to my hiking brain. All right, just a really quick calf stretch, pushing against the wall. Make sure your hips are square to the wall. Again, we don't want opening out of the hip, even on the side where the leg is behind us, okay? Just trying to get that heel all the way down to the floor, maybe adding a little bit of additional pressure against the wall to help intensify the stretch. Other side. Oh man, and remembering that you may not be able to go back as far into the stretch on the second side, or maybe you can go farther, okay? Yeah. Just nice little stretches. Roll over the tops of the feet a little bit, just to get that stretch along the top of the foot and into the shin. Reach one arm out to the side across your chest, grab it just above the elbow, pull that upper arm into your chest, getting that nice stretch in the shoulder and down into the tricep. And then release, and other arm up, and same thing. Oh, a very welcome stretch today. Oh yeah, I am pleased. I am pleased with this stretch. All right, woo! Good job, everybody. Oh my goodness. Wow, what a good class. This was our first class back. Yeah, last week was my rest week. Time has no meaning. Last week was particularly bad for time having no meaning. At least now that I'm streaming again, I have y'all to help keep me anchored to the days of the week. But, oh man, it already feels like my rest week was a month ago, and it wasn't. But this is our first functional home fitness since bringing April Powers to a close. Fun to get some new exercises in there. And I definitely want to do some research over the rest of the month and maybe find some new exercises for us to play around with. Woo, woo, woo. But, oh man, I hope that this time worked pretty well for people. I really appreciate your coming with me on this altered schedule. Yeah, it's definitely, I think, going to be, I believe it will be more convenient for all of us. And I hope that you feel the same way. It is definitely more convenient for me. And the nice thing about, internet is that even if you can't make class live, the VOD will always be up. And, so if you weren't able to make the new time and just wanted to come in at the old time and do the VOD, you can do that. I mean, you'd have to wait a little bit because I'm still streaming. Anyway, I feel like I'm rambling at this point. At this point, I need some food. I need to make some deviled eggs, and I need to hydrate more. Because I hiked today and didn't have water with me, so my hydration's a little worse than it usually is. All right, my loves, we have one more class on the schedule for this week. It is tomorrow morning, Saturday morning at 9 a.m. Mountain Time. It's the weekend kickoff, our awesome strength and stamina focused bodyweight class. So I hope to see some of you there. Its time is not changing. So still at 9 a.m. Oh, I'm so sorry. I'm sorry, I would make you deviled eggs if I could, but I'd have to throw them a very long distance, and I just did strength training, so. You can follow me on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram. All those handles will be in my end cards, but they are all variations on Blanche Case Fitness. My YouTube channel is where I upload all the VODs from these streams, so you never have to miss a class, even if you can't make the live cast. So definitely head over there and subscribe. If you want to help support me financially making these streams, I have a Ko-fi account for one-time donations, or you can subscribe to this channel if you're able to support more long-term. Either way, your donations are always very much appreciated. And if you want to help me keep growing this channel and this community, then please tell your friends, loved ones, coworkers, anyone looking for an awesome fitness class. I stream 4 days a week. We have a wonderful community, and the more the merrier. So everybody, finish out your water. Go take that post-workout shower. Go start eating food, maybe deviled eggs, who knows? And I will see all of you back here again tomorrow. Mwah. Have a great night.